Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Sadi, Director of First Year Writing.
And I'm Emily Standridge. I'm the Writing Center Director.
And today we're going to talk about what goes into a review of literature for the UT Tyler Graduate School. Okay, so what is a review of literature? A review of literature, if you've read scholarly articles, you've read lots of reviews of literature, they're that mass of text at the beginning of an article where there's a lot of citations. It's a summary and synthesis of research that's been done on the topic, and it's generally a prelude to some sort of argument you're going to make. And in the review of lit, it's not just a list of sources, it's a conversation among the sources. So who is the audience? Generally, the audience is going to be either your professor and maybe the students in your class, or if you're writing an article for publication, obviously the audience will be the people who read whatever journal you're targeting. Purpose of the review of literature, like I just said a little bit ago, one, it's generally a prelude to an argument you're going to make. In the review of literature, it's your task to show your audience that you know the research that's been written about your topic, the important research, not all the research, key findings, key methods, whatever it is your focus is. And then you lead to the gap in the literature, which is what we're going to talk about next. The gap is what other people have either not covered fully, or you're going to cover it in a different way, maybe with different research methods. So the gap is important if the purpose of your review of literature is to set up your own argument. The review of literature is different from a summary-oriented bit because it actually generally leads somewhere. You're using that information in the review of literature to establish where you're going to go in your paper. Whereas a summary is often standalone and an annotated bib is often standalone, review of literature, again, is a prelude to you making your argument.
So the next question is, what do you write about? What is it that goes into a literature review? Sometimes your professor will assign a topic for you. Other times you get to choose, and that seems very intimidating. You want to work on choosing something really big within your subject area and then doing some reading. Look through some of the texts, start seeing patterns, start seeing trends, and then focus in on one of those trends. And do this again until you have a narrow enough focus, either that your professor says, yes, this will work, or that you feel like you can tackle in the length of paper that you have assigned to you. Now, what do I have to read? You're going to read journal articles, you're going to read chapters in scholarly books, you're going to read scholarly monographs, you're going to read the scholarly literature around your topic. You want to pay attention to the sources that are cited again and again. If something has been cited in 5 works that you've read, you have to read that source. Even if it's old, even if it doesn't exactly relate to it, that's called the foundational source. Make sure you read those, as well as the ones that are more cutting edge, that are doing new things, that are not as fully integrated, so that you get the breadth of your topic. One trick to finding the breadth of a topic is to play with Google Scholar. They can do cited by, they can do related topics. Those will help you find sources that are related to the one that you're working with. Note that you're never going to read everything about your topic. You need to read a variety of viewpoints. You need to read a lot of different approaches, but remember, you're never going to read all of it. At some point, you have to say stop and then write.
And as far as Google Scholar goes, if you find an article that's, say, 3 or 4 years old, but it's already been cited 100 times, that's a good indication that's an article you would want to include in your review of literature. Conversely, if you find an article that's maybe 7 years old and it's only been cited 4 or 5 times, that article probably didn't have much impact in your field, and you could probably just go ahead and skip that article or cover it minimally in your review of literature.
When you are writing your review of literature, you want to make sure that you discuss each article, which is not to say that each article is dealt with by itself, which means that each article doesn't have to be talked about the same amount of length, but you do have to talk about every article. What you want to do is you want to look at your topics and organize things into patterns. You can do time periods, you can do themes, you can do methods of investigation. Find something that shows the breadth of your topic and write about it about your topic in those ways. And what should it look like? Well, that's hard to say. On one hand, you're going to need to follow the formatting and style and citation guide of your field. Are you working in APA? Are you working in MLA? Are you working in Chicago? Are you working in Turabian? That's going to dictate a lot about what it should look like. That being said, it should still have your typical paragraph structure, a paragraph on each theme, or maybe several paragraphs on each theme. You want to make sure that you have an introduction and a conclusion that explains both the organization that you're working with and how it leads up to the project that you're going to do, or how it points to that hole, that gap in the literature that this is leading up to. And what about quotes and citations? As I said, you need to follow the citation style of your field, and your professor should be able to point you to that. If not, look at the citation styles requested in submissions for your major journals. Your field of study also dictates how much you quote. Some fields want lots of quotations in a literature review. Most don't. Most want you to put it into your own language, to pick out the main ideas and convey those in your words. And when you do this, you would put a parenthetical citation at the end of the sentence. And again, that's in whatever format or style that you use.
So where can you go for help? The UNC Chapel Hill Writing Center has a good handout on literature reviews in general, as does the University of Wisconsin at Madison. And Harvard has brief guides to writing and disciplines. They don't cover STEM very well, but they do pretty good with humanities, and those will give you an idea of what to do with reviews of literature. And really the best place to go for review of literature is look at the sources you're going to use in your paper. All of those probably have reviews of literature, so look at those and dissect those. How many quotes do they use? How much citing do they do? What patterns do they use to organize their review of literature, and follow that.
And it may or may not be called the review of literature. It may be called the introduction. It may be called the background. Right. So you may or may not see it called the literature review, but it is definitely going to be there. Also know that you can visit the Writing Center. The Writing Center will help you figure out how to work your literature review. The library also has fantastic resources. You have a subject area librarian who can help you find sources on any topic that you're interested in exploring.
Thank you.
Have a good one.